added. There we go.
All right.
I'm not going to do the intro because I'm working on another one. So that one's going to go bye-bye. But anyways, how are you, Mark?
I'm doing great.
How are you, Amanda?
I'm doing good.
All right. We're going to wait just a little bit because I know there's going to be people. I just accidentally sent it now, and I told everybody that I would send it to them like a couple hours before. So they'll be coming in. So how was your day today, Mark?
Oh, not too bad. Just typical work, you know. Unfortunately, still got to get up and go to work. I'm not like the other one over here that gets to sit at home and do whatever.
Oh, shoot. Well, one of these days,
I don't know. Nowadays, though, with everything, it's the bad part about it is with about every married couple out there, I think one of you is about got to stay working until you keel over because you got to have the insurance.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know how people survive without two people working these days. I really don't.
We got people I know, a couple of them that like say, one works and the other one's a stay-at-home mom or whatever, and it's like, I don't know how you do it, especially when you got kids.
Oh, well, I can honestly say I was freaking out because Lacey was 13 when I had Tori, and then I had Tori, and then 13 months later I had Caitlin, and I was like bawling. How am I going to afford daycare? And I went ahead and I did it, and I don't know how. I can't imagine people that have like 5 and 6 kids all in daycare. I mean,
yeah, I got a guy I work with. I think he's got 4 kids, all under the age of like 10 or so. I mean, or 11. It's like, no way. I don't know how you can live.
Oh gosh, yeah. Daycare is expensive, but you got to have it. And I don't know how. Both my daughters, my oldest and my middle, they both are. They have a daycare with Lacey's mother-in-law, and I'm going to tell you right now, they have more patients. I like geriatrics. I like the older people, and I love kids. Don't get me wrong, but I couldn't have 20 of them all at once.
No way. Yeah, I don't have the patience for that.
No way. Hey, Punksy. Hey, Punksy said hello, guys.
Hi, Punksy.
Hey, Punksy.
Punksy, if I send you Mark's PayPal, can you please post it in the comments once in a while for me? That way, if somebody wants to donate, they can. Because some people don't want to be known, so they'll contact me or whatever, but I just want it posted in the comments every so often. So I am going to send you that. If you don't mind doing that for me, I would really appreciate it. And also, we're going to have open panel after we go through 2 people's interviews, police interviews regarding Harry's disappearance. Okay, I sent it to you in Messenger, Punks. We want people to be able to come up on panel if they want to and ask questions, or if you guys don't feel like coming up on panel, ask away in the comments, because the last video we did, we had such a great turnout, didn't we? We had a lot of people in here asking questions and commented, and they were smart about, things to do and stuff.
A lot of good questions in the last one, that's for sure.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to be on I will have Cheryl do it, or Broken Justice. I always do that. I always say their names. I'm terrible with it. Anyways, I will send that to her. And when you go to bed, because later there. I know where you're at. So as soon as she comes on, I'll ask her to do it too. Yep. What? It's just the A681483 at Yahoo. What I just sent you. I wish we could put the Venmo, the link things in there, but it won't let us do that. Because you have Venmo, PayPal, and what else, Mark?
Yeah, you got Venmo and PayPal. That's basically it right now.
Yeah, I wish, the little
like
things
saying,
that
then
you
people
can.
go straight to the bank if they're from Albia. So
Yeah.
or send it. There's been some people that have just sent checks or whatever right straight to the bank for the Harry Milligan Fund. So
yeah, and we'll go over that too at the end. Because if somebody wants to even send an anonymous, well, I don't know about but just a check, the bank's not going to tell you who it's from if they don't want to be known,
right.
So,
no.
Yep, that's it, Punksy. And I know that there is a lot of people that are doing lives tonight, and it's drama, and we all know that drama sells. Oh, deep breath, Allison, deep breath. And that's okay. Let him do that. But yep, that's his PayPal, Punksy. We are going to do this with or without them, and maybe they'll be watching the replay later on.
Yeah.
And we'll go for it. Okay, so what should you want to bring up?
Like I say, a lot of it was, just wanting to, it's like we talked before, going back and resetting everything and taking a look at things from the beginning.
And this is what we're going to do. We're going to go through this file, and anything that Mark will let me show. I don't know if there could be things that he doesn't, I don't know, but we're going to go over the police interviews, and we're going to do 2 tonight because there's not a lot. Yeah. And then whenever next week, when we do another video, we'll go over 2 or 3 more. We'll just go over a few every night so it doesn't get so, overwhelming for people, because I look at this file and it can become overwhelming, especially when you don't know the back history of everything. Maybe we ought to, Mark, do you want to, I know we do this every video, but do you want to kind of go over Harry's disappearance, what happened back in 1984 first?
Sure. I mean, that's not a problem. Like I said, we've done it before. But for anybody that don't know, Harry was my older brother. He was a couple years older than I was. He graduated high school in 1981. I was out of high school and worked some odd jobs, done some different things around Albia. Eventually, he decided to join the Marine Corps. After I had joined the Marine Corps, he decided to join the Marine Corps. He went to boot camp before I did, since he was older. And I wasn't out of high school yet, but he went and joined the Marines. Came back from the Marines at some point between working jobs around here and being in the Marine Corps Reserve. He decided to go to college at that time. It was Northeast Missouri State. Now I think it's Truman University. I think it is. Enrolled down there. I think he had done 2 semesters, a fall semester and a spring semester at NMSU. Was on break from college, had come home from college. I think it was, I'm just guessing it was, in June sometime he got out and came back home. He had the advantage that, like I say, going to that college, he was, I don't know what is Kirksville, 45 minutes away from here, maybe an hour. So he could always, be at college, come home on the weekends if he wanted to, stay down there and do whatever he wanted to do down there if he didn't want to come home. But he was out of college. He'd had some troubles in college with his grades and stuff. Typical, like I always say, the typical, growing pains of being in your, early 20s, I guess. Came home on the weekends. He was home out of school. He'd been painting houses for Steve Maddie that lives here in Monroe County in Albia. On June 30th, 1984, he painted on that. It was a Saturday. He painted houses for Steve, it sounds like, that morning into the afternoon. Got done with that. Left there, went home, had some conversation with my mom. Had plans of coming back and helping her do some things the following day on Sunday. Left, went to town. According to, different stories and different things that I think I know now, did the typical 21-year-old things, run around. Didn't sound like he had any real plans, just kind of floated around, looking for things to do with his friends. At some point, he ended up at a bar called the Waterworks Bar in town. He was there. I don't know if he was there off and on during the night or all night, in the later hours, but I know I think he left the bar at 2 o'clock in the morning. At 2 o'clock in the morning, sometime after that, he apparently, from the stories that, like, you'll see in some of the statements, he got in with three of his friends riding around at about 4:30 to 4:45 in the morning. Those friends say that they dropped him off at his car and watched him get in his car and drive away, headed in the general direction as if he was going to be going home to where we lived, 6 miles outside of town in another little town or little community. After being dropped off at 4:30, 4:45 in the morning, nobody's ever seen him since. Nobody's ever found the car or found him. So that's kind of the basics of it. So
Yeah.
it basically boils down to there's not a lot of, actual facts other than statements of people and so-called friends and things that I've learned since then, I guess.
Yeah, that's what you just don't know. That's why we're going to go through this file as much as we can, and I'm going to bring it up on the panel. I want everybody to be able to read it. And if you can't, I can read it out loud, but we're going to go ahead. And this is Denny Hollenrake. Mark, do you want to talk about Denny, who Denny was to Harry?
Yeah. Like I say, Denny Hollenrake was a long time. Probably, most people would know him as Harry's best friend. They pretty much ran around together. They, where you seen one of them, you saw the other one all the time. Denny did have a girlfriend, Michelle, through school, and I think in after school. Up till this time, I'm not real clear at this particular point. I think it was sometimes on and off again type of deal, but they ran around together. The three of them ran around together. Even at one point, they got a wreck in Denny's truck, and Michelle got hurt. They were all together then when that happened. So, they ran around together, and there was another gal, Stacy, that also kind of ran around with that group. But Denny was probably Harry's best friend. He was, when they went to school down at NMSU, they started out as roommates down there. I'm guessing through the whole first semester they were roommates. At some point in the second semester, I believe, down there, something happened. I don't know what. I know what in one conversation that I've had with Denny Hollenrake, he said that they just couldn't live together. They couldn't get enough studying done. They were both having troubles in school because they just was hanging out doing whatever and decided to quit being roommates. And Harry I think stayed in the room, I believe. I'm not sure. I think Harry stayed in the room they had, and Brian Williams moved into that room, and Denny moved in with Tim Loafman, I believe. So that's kind of the whole thing there is, they were best friends. They done so much together. I've got, different letters and different things, that even when Harry was gone in the Marine Corps, the one person that he communicated I mean, he communicated with a couple people back here, and almost every letter that he had, and that I've read, there's conversation or comments about Denny. I mean, so it just shows you the type of friendship they had at one point, at least.
Yeah, exactly. At one point, being best friends and going off to college together. And do you know if your mom and dad ever asked him to not be roommates with Denny because of the grades or whatever?
No, I mean, there was never any mention of that. Like I said, the only one I ever really had any conversation with about it was Denny, and that was just 2 years ago, maybe. When the social media thing, we got this all really looking into again. We had a little bit of conversation about it, and that's what he explained to me is, that they just they couldn't get anything done, so they decided not to be roommates. I mean. I know normally they were, I think, a lot of the times riding back and forth to college together. I think there's a statement from somebody, or maybe even in the file. I'm not sure, but I know the weekend that Harry come home, it was kind of odd that some people thought it was kind of odd that Denny didn't, ride back with Harry. So. Like I said, whatever, I don't know what exactly happened down there. But, I mean, it's back to that. Like I say, it's a reset of looking at everything and trying to piece all the puzzles together to see, several, everybody knows anything about the case for the most part that, there's been a few different theories that have surfaced over the years. And, that's what I'm trying to figure out now. Are some of those theories accurate? Are they not? Are there things that have been missed? Was it an accident that happened that night? One of them, disagreements and turns into an oh shit moment where Harry gets hurt and killed, or is it a planned out thing that Harry gets hurt, or was there something that started, days, months, whatever before this that led up to something happening that night. So it's just, like I said, it's trying to look at, every single little piece of everything and not point fingers, but question everything, because there's so many, questions that aren't answered.
Exactly. There is a lot of unanswered questions. I will definitely agree with you on that. And I just posted the Facebook page, Harry Dennis Milligan is still missing my brother's story.
Awesome.
This has so much information in it, and you asked to join, and then one of the administrators will accept you. So just give it time, because I know one of the administrators is on vacation, lollygagging.
Yeah.
By the way, I know you're listening.
Back doing nothing.
Yeah, I know she's listening, and the pictures she posted, she's just trying to make me jealous, and it worked.
Yeah, she's just out being lazy right now.
Yeah. So let's bring up Mr. Denny Hollenrake's one and only. This is back July 3rd, 1984 at 4:38 p.m. and 4:38, called Denny Hollenrake, and who was it that did this? Not Ed, but
I want to say it was Denny Carr. By the handwriting, I would say it's Denny Carr's handwriting.
Okay.
Denny Carr was the current sheriff at the time that Harry came up missing.
Yes. Okay. So it says we'll call back. And then at 5:20 p.m., he just said not type to go away for 3 days without letting his parents know. Has a friend in the Marines. Has an apartment in, where was that at?
I want to say it's Des Moines. It looks like DSM is what I think in Des Moines.
Yes.
For people that aren't from around here, Des Moines from here, from Albia, roughly an
Hour.
hour and 15 minutes away, maybe.
Yep.
Nowadays, back in '83, heck, you didn't even have all the 4-lane stuff, so it's probably an hour and a half drive just to get up to Des Moines. So
yeah, and then it says with VCR. What does that mean?
that's. I guess I don't. I mean, me and Lori, we've read these over a million times and looked at
Now
them.
this is law
I
enforcement.
don't understand if that's some. I mean, what difference would it matter if a friend has a VCR? I mean,
I have read this over and over, and it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, it says has a friend in the Marines, has an apartment in DSM with VCR. Harry has talked about going up to see him. Rescheduled something for 11:15. Harry kept,
When he says rescheduled, I think it's scheduled games. That's in reference to the softball game the next morning.
Okay, so they rescheduled it for 11:15. So, okay, I'm going to ask this. You, as being law enforcement your whole life, what is this, Mark? What are we reading? What is this?
I mean, basically what it is, normally in any kind of case like this, you're going to reach out to the people that, associate with Harry. Whether somebody gave him Denny Hollenrink's name or, Denny Carr just knew that, okay, hey, he probably had talked to my parents and everything else. So there was several reasons for him to reach out to Denny. I know 9:00 that morning, that was the very first inkling that something maybe was wrong. I guess to me is, Denny called my mom at 9:00 that morning to saying that, Harry had told him to call our house to make sure that he was up.
Yeah. Well,
so at 9:00 in the morning, that's what initially started my mom thinking, okay, wait a minute, which wasn't, I don't think was big alarms because it wouldn't have been unlike Harry not to stay at a friend's or, done whatever, that night. But, at least she knew he had plans of coming home and, and apparently he's not with Denny, so.
Yeah. I'm talking about, okay, as a nurse, when I document, I put the day, the time, and you have to document everything, and then you have to sign it. Do they not have to sign?
Not necessarily something like this. I mean, this here, like I said, this is just general notes. You know what I'm saying? It's just notes of, I talked to him. Normally, you're looking at 1983 versus now. Normally, now the case would have been, these would have been my notes, my personal notes that I would have took of what somebody said, so that when I went back to actually type up a report, I'd look at them notes and type from them notes and type up a complete narrative type report detailing what they said and what I asked.
So did they ever do that?
No, there's none of that.
Exactly.
At least in the initial reports, the initial part of it, within, they say, this first 10-day window, of Harry being missing, there is no, other than the missing persons report, I think there's not one other typed report, in regards to him being declared a missing person and any details of what they found out.
Yeah.
Or what they've done. I mean, he did do, typical stuff, like you said, day, date, time, location type of things. The bad part about it is, as you can see just from the statement, very minimal, in what you even asked. He basically didn't ask him any questions other than, probably, what do you know about Harry? Or what do you know about what happened? Maybe what happened to Harry or where he's at. You can obviously tell that, there was no.
I'm going to bring this up.
Detail put into these questions.
Yeah. So we're going to go then. It says, okay, Harry has talked about going up to see him. Rescheduled games for 11:15. That's better. I can actually see it.
Yeah.
Harry kept harping at everybody about the game. Denny called house, which means Harry's mom and dad's house,
Right.
at 9 on Sunday morning to get Harry up. Mom said he hasn't come home. And this is it.
Yeah.
Regarding Denny Hollenreich. Now, Mark, can you tell them where Denny was the night Harry came missing?
I have no idea.
Because it's never been accounted for, has it?
No, he's never. Even when I talked to him, his answer was to me is he could not. It's been so long, I can't remember exactly where I was. With a softball game being the next day, I probably stayed at Michelle's, but I'm not sure. I talked to Michelle, which is his girlfriend, Michelle White, now or whatever. She basically says the same thing. It's been a long time. I don't really remember. I would assume Denny was here. I know, a neighbor, or a friend said that Denny's truck was, that she had seen Denny's truck at Michelle's at one point that night, but never really saw Denny there. So, I guess, and in talking to Denny, he's clearly stated to me, I didn't see Harry that night.
So why didn't maybe it's just me being into true crime, but usually you ask anybody, the people closest to the victim, they ask where they was. Did they not ask him or anybody?
That's one of the strangest things with the entire investigation, and one of the big things with this statement in particular to me is, Denny Hollenreich tells me to myself, I didn't see Harry that night. I don't know really where I was. I did not see Harry that night, but clearly in here, in this statement, it says Harry kept harping on everybody about the game. Okay. Yeah. So in other words, if you saw him, if he was harping at everybody, how do you know that? If you didn't see him and weren't around him that night at all, how do you know that he was harping on everybody about the ball game? And when did he tell you to call my house at 9 o'clock in the morning to get me up?
Especially when he told his sister to make sure that he was up.
Harry had told our sister to make sure, to get him up that morning. He had all of his normal, I guess what I don't know what you call it. I know he had all the softball gear, like, the ball bag, ball, and all that stuff in the truck, in the trunk of his car. But normally he also had Harry had like two sets of glasses, one good set of glasses, like I got, the wire frame, like I got on now that you wear out in public and that type of stuff, and then he always had a pair of these, the military black frame Poindexter looking glasses and stuff, that he would wear for playing sports, so all of that stuff was at home, his glasses and the things like that, I think his uniform and that type of stuff was all still there, the shoes and that type of things that he normally, like I said, if he'd have been home, you got up, you got dressed, you put all that on, you went to the ball game, so, that still tells me that, he definitely had intentions of coming home that night, and granted, like I said, alcohol, friends, party, whatever, can always change that, but most people that know Harry know that he was very anal about things as far as, like Denny saying there, I believe that, if Harry made was basically captain of this team and made the arrangements and went around and made the arrangements with another team to set up this game early Sunday before the tournament started. Yeah, he probably did drive everybody nuts all night long that he was around, that was involved in the softball game, harping at him to be there, because that's just the type of person he was.
But then again, he said he didn't see Harry.
Right, but then he says he never saw it.
Yeah, it just doesn't. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
And for him to say that he has a friend in the Marines, has an apartment in Des Moines with VCR. What?
Well, I mean, is that trying to get him to think that he left and went somewhere? I mean, if you really, I guess the way I look at it, when I learned to go back and look at this thing as an investigator, not with emotions and everything else, it made me read things a lot clearer and a lot better. If you look at even the first two sentences of the statement, first of all, he says he's not the type to go away. Okay, so that takes out of the picture, okay, Harry didn't just leave. You know what I mean? That's not typically something he would do. And then the next sentence, you're almost trying to say, well, maybe he went here, or maybe he went there, and it's like they contradict each other, completely.
Yeah. Amanda, are you still on? Amanda? I hope she didn't fall off.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, what do you think about this? Did you read this?
I heard you read it.
Yeah, well, what do you think about it? Because first he's saying he's not the type to go away for 3 days without letting his parents know. And then, well, he's got a friend in Des Moines that's in the Marines. He's got an apartment up there. He talked about going up to see him. They rescheduled the game for 11:15. Now, what time was the game supposed to be? 9?
Well, no, I think really what it was is they scheduled it for 11:15 that day. What it sounds like, what I figured out over the years, is they had a game that they needed to make up from league, from their regular league that they was in.
Okay.
So since there was going to be this tournament and all these different teams were going to be there, for this tournament that day, and I don't think the tournament started till like noon or 1 o'clock, they decided, okay, hey, if it sounds like he tried to get it set up to, hey, since everybody else is going to be there, why don't we go ahead and play our game that we need to make up at 11:15 to get, it made up without having to try to set it up on a special day, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah. And then he says that Harry kept harping at everybody about the game.
Right.
But Amanda, and everybody in the chat that's coming in, he didn't see him that night.
Yeah.
And then Denny called the house at 9 on Sunday morning to get Harry up. Mom said he didn't come home, even though Harry had asked his sister to make sure he was up. And if he didn't see Harry, why did Denny call the house?
Right.
And again, his whereabouts the night that Harry Milligan went missing is unknown.
Right. And that's just.
And I'm not, No, I'm just saying, I'm not in here blaming him or blaming anybody, but it's time to find the truth. It's time to get the facts. And it's going to take somebody that hasn't looked through these files as many times as Mark and Lori and several of us have to see that. I am telling you, I believe the answer is in this file. That is why we are going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Right. And that's exactly it. That's what I'm asking. Everybody's different. We all look at things and interpret things a different way. I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody or accuse anybody of anything.
No. But
I'm
you
just
deserve
saying,
answers.
these are the things that need answered, and
Exactly.
There's people out there that know the answers to these. If Harry was harping at everybody about the game, okay, who's everybody, and where was he harping to them at? Where were they at? where were they at that he was harping at everybody?
And who was he harping?
And he saw them harping at everybody or heard him harping at. Where was this? Where were they at? Was it at the Waterworks bar? Was it at a party somewhere? Was it, like back in the day in Albia, it could have been as simple as, sitting on the back of a truck on the tailgate on the Albia Square, but it puts a lot of other people into this picture, and some of them I think
everybody?
I know.
Who's everybody?
Right.
Batsh's.
Who's the guy in Des Moines? I mean, if he's got a friend in Des Moines, I mean, you would think maybe your best friend might even know who that guy was, I mean, so that he could be checked with and say, hey, did he, I mean, if all of a sudden, we could figure out, say that name, and you get a hold of this person, and he's like, oh yeah, Harry did, I've been in Des Moines, I ain't heard about this in years or thought about it, and he puts Harry in Des Moines. Okay, now you're looking at a whole different scenario of things, and different, if Harry went up there and tried to come back, in them wee hours of the morning, just like doing our water searches, we started within a 5-mile radius, maybe, if someplace where we can say definitely he was here at some point during the night, then it makes it easier to even look at those things and rule out rule out all them different scenarios.
Batsh's crazy. I love your name, but she put hashtag Harry Milligan with a heart.
That's awesome.
And she's somebody new that I've not seen in here. So we appreciate. And you guys put all feelings aside. Even if there's people watching that don't care for me, please put all feelings aside and share this. And I don't care as far as my channel getting subscribers. This is for Harry Milligan, and we need his story out there.
And that's the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, Mark, did you get my email?
Yes, I did. We'll talk about that later. I got it, and I meant to answer you back, and I forgot about it.
Can I tell the chat, because everybody knows who this person is, because she solved the case with the kids?
I mean, I don't care. I mean, yeah.
Okay, you guys, I reached out to Donna Serafina. I've reached out to her probably 10 times. The first time is right after she solved the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, Kylie, and my mind. But anyway, she solved that case. And she told me that she would be willing to do it. And then I reached out again and again. And I'm sure she's so busy because, I mean, look at what she's doing. And Amanda, you know her. I know Punksy knows her. I'm sure Batch is crazy. But anyway, she messaged me the other day, and she is going to do this if Mark wants her to. In November, she's pushed clear back to November, but we will talk about that later, Mark, because I believe that woman there.
Like I said, I'm open to everything,
And I think I sent you her channel when.
Yeah, like I said, I've just been busy this week with a lot of different things and haven't been able to.
That was a long time ago. I seen that channel. Not tells the future. Nope. She, at least I don't think so, but she's the one. It's Reverend Donna Serafina. She's the one that told law enforcement exactly, described exactly where JJ and Tylee was at. I mean, to the flippin' point of where they were. She described everything. If you've not went and watched that video, you need to. And if it's described, I mean, I think the title's JJ and Tylee or something, but if not, I will post it in my under the description, because I just got the best feeling and I got so excited. I forwarded the email to Mark, and yeah, we'll talk about that later. And I see Amanda dropped off. anyways, what were we talking about? Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, we're just like say back to these different, you know, questions that need answered. I mean,
Yes.
that's the whole thing. I mean, since this statement, since talking to Denny, I mean, there's been several other things come up. I mean, it ain't been too long ago. I mean, I had what I believe is a reliable source, come to me and say, hey, there was a group of us from La Villa that night that, had been playing ball up by the school. And we got done, decided to go to Albia, and we went to the waterworks. And he said, I mean, the person telling me the information says, hey, I was there. A group of us went there, and I'm pretty sure I recall, Denny Hollenrink and David Wynn sitting down and playing cards with Harry in this card game that was up there that night.
Yep. And Denny, right here in this interview, Anarchy, we're not that far into it. We're bringing up two different people's police interview. The first one right here is Denny Hollenrake, which was Harry's best friend, his college roommate. And I know, don't get mad at me but I just want everybody to know exactly, this is the one and only interview that they did with Denny, and he is the one that his whereabouts are unknown the night of Harry's disappearance. But he says that it's not the type to go away for 3 days without letting his parents know. Has a friend in the Marines, has an apartment in Des Moines with VCR. Harry has talked about going up to see him. They rescheduled the games for 11:15. Harry kept harping on everybody about the game, which he says he didn't see Harry that night. Then he called the house at 9 a.m. Sunday morning to get him up, and his mom said he hadn't come home. Then again, why did he call the house at 9 a.m. when Harry had asked his sister to make sure he was up for the game?
Right. And where, like you said, where were they at when that conversation took place? I mean,
and I want to know.
That just clearly, I mean, you almost give yourself away that, okay, you saw him that night. You just don't want to say where and when and who else was around. And I'm not, like I said, it's not about accusing people. It's just getting people to step up and say, hey, yeah, I saw him that night.
Yeah, we need to know.
I talked to him. This is who was there, who was around. This is what was going on. I mean, I don't understand the silence of people or the, I mean, you get it from some. There's a few people that I've talked to that, clearly just state, I don't remember. It's been 38 years, Okay, somewhat I get that. But there's also been a lot of them I've talked to too that, they'll at least preface everything with, hey, my memory might not be, exactly what it was, but I remember this or I kind of remember that, I mean, different things. So I just don't understand how some of them, choose to say nothing, and when it's obvious that there's more to the story and there's a truth here, I mean, like I said, it just blows my mind. I mean,
and I still don't understand why this was never followed up with. Why didn't they ask him where he was that night? I mean, it doesn't.
It's back to that, the old, thing that we've talked about several times. I mean, I think law enforcement then, just did a lot of assuming, instead of, I mean, because of Harry being an adult, they assume certain things. They assume that, okay, he's drinking. He could have wrecked his car. He could have just took off. They assumed a lot of things and never, that was the only avenue that they looked at, and when they didn't find him by doing an aerial search or driving county roads, like I did, I mean, when they didn't find him and they didn't, nothing ever come up of that way, they pretty much just wrote it off and didn't do anything any further. They didn't go back and look, I mean, I guess to me, I don't understand why, and people will see later with some of these interviews and the things that we bring up. I mean, these guys weren't even, Denny, as far as I know, has never gave any other statement to law enforcement unless it's been as of recent. It was never talked to again, or at least there's no documentation that he was ever talked to again. The other ones, at least there is some documentation by Denny Carr that when he had left law enforcement and became a private investigator, he went back and talked to him again and got other statements out of him. So at least, there's at least that. But as far as law enforcement's part of it, I don't know that it's ever been done. I know what I've been told. I know the sheriff said at one time he had maybe mentioned to Doug Matty that he needed to talk to him. I don't know that ever happened. I know that Deputy Worth has reached out and tried to talk to Jeff Adler. Jeff Adler, has refused to talk to him. I just, like I said, and I understand that, but it's just, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what why they did what they did back then. I'm not trying to slam anybody, but I think there was just a lot of assumptions that were made, and I still think there's a lot of people out there that have answers that can fill in a lot of these blanks, and the more the blanks that can get filled in,
absolutely,
maybe there is a better direction to go with things.
I agree, Mark. It just, I know that I get kind of a little emotional too, and he's not even my brother, but I've watched the pain that
it's just sad
you have went through. And if I just keep thinking, if this was my brother or my sister or even my best friends, my friends, it would be a total, and it was so hard for you being in law enforcement. You know what I mean? It was hard for you, I'm sure. But
right.
We're going to get to it. We're going to figure this out. And like I said, we are all going to go through this file. It's going to take us a while because we're only going to do a few things each night. But I know football season, Mark, but we're going to maybe do this once a week or twice a week if possible. I know you work full time. I work full time. We're going to definitely do it at least once every other week if possible.
Sure.
You let me know. What's that?
And that's the main thing, is to keep people aware of it. See what's there, see what they're, to see, I'm to the point now where, a lot of times over, especially probably the last couple of years, there's times I've probably opened my mouth more than I should, or at the time I should, but I'm to the point now where it's time to just start laying it all out there, and like I said, I've always tried to maintain a level of decency and everything else, and I still plan to do that, but I'm also going to put out there what I know, and if it's not to cause anybody any grief or any problems or anything like that.
Exactly.
But it's the facts, and it's to get people to talk and question things until somebody comes up with an answer. Because I don't buy, oh, you better find out now because all these, a lot of these people are dead. Well, no, they're not. They're my age, they're Harry's age. The whole class of 1981. There's not a lot of them, that I know of that have passed. There's a few, just like there has been in my class, but there's a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of people, that, if you figure in 1984, when this happened, there's a lot of people from that, years, they're still alive, and this is the town of Albia, 3,000 people at the most. People know people know what's going on. They know everything else about everything else going on.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about all the, like we've talked about, even sitting down and talking about that, all the mysterious deaths and, weird
Yep.
things like that have happened in Albia over the years. I
Yep.
mean, it's unreal for a small town, and bits and pieces of everything. I mean, there's so many things that I've let just kind of took to myself and stayed with. I mean, people I think are gonna, and I know they are because I've already started doing it. Some of the stuff that people have told me, I guess I took it as, man, I should just believe that. I should just believe what you're telling me. Well, now, I do. And if you're telling me the truth, I love it. I believe, I want to believe it and everything else. But I also, for Harry's sake, have to check to make sure that everything is true, and that somebody, law enforcement told me. Joe Worth, the Deputy Worth, told me right off the bat, one of the last meetings we had. Do you know there's people that I've been told? He said, I've been told that there's people lying to you to get you to go in different directions and not in the direction you need to be going. So that really made me start thinking of, okay, I need to start looking into everything. I mean, right now, because of our little group of people that we associate with over this, I'm not leaving any stone unturned. I'm looking into everything, and I'm going to start questioning things. And there's some people out there already that know that because I've already had some somewhat heated conversations or odd conversations of things, to where I've questioned some things, For the most part, there's a lot of them I believe are true, but there's some that it's like, I don't know,
Yeah. Well, before we get started on the next one, I'm going to bring up, this is pictures of when we did Harry's, his benefit July of this past year. I have a whole bunch of these t-shirts. I've been giving them away and asking if people would want to donate. If you can't afford to donate, get a hold of me. I want to send you one of these shirts because I want these shirts all over, everywhere, in every state. I will even cover the shipping, but I want anybody and everybody to wear these. And if you can donate, I've had people donate $1, $5, $10, $15, $20, $50, $100, whatever you can afford, you guys. Your families, talk to your families. You guys get a hold of me. You know how. Anybody that is from around here or surrounding that's watching, I know this is going to be on Facebook too, get a hold of me and I will take care of you with a t-shirt. And you can either come in and drop the money into Harry's jar, or you could go through PayPal. Punksy put it in the chat, or you can put a check right to the bank in Harry's name, or in Harry's, what is it? It's which bank, Mark?
It's First Iowa State Bank in Albia.
Yep. And they write it to what though? Just Harry Milligan
Harry
Fund?
Milligan Fund. Yep.
Okay. So,
and Allison's right. Same thing. Get a hold of me. If you want one of these t-shirts, we'll get you one.
Yes.
It don't matter. It ain't going to cost you nothing. Yeah, we don't have, we're just getting rid of everything that we have, so I'm not going to be like ordering anymore or anything like that. I know we have a lot of small, medium, large, extra large left.
Yep.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look. There may be a few.
Do you have a box at your house, Mark?
I've still got some here, yes.
And I've got a box, but I've probably given, since the one that Lori dropped in last week, I've probably given away 20 of them so far.
Awesome.
And some have donated and some couldn't afford it. And that's okay. That is okay.
It's all about what's on the front of the shirt, the name, and it makes people ask questions,
Exactly.
and it gets it out there. So, it's not about the money at all. There's
no.
I put it up the other day. There's over $26,000, almost $27,000 in the reward fund. At this point, it's not about making money or anything like that. It's all about just keeping the story alive, keeping people talking, especially, anywhere. I mean, I don't care where you're from. Get a hold of one of us. We'll figure out a way to get it to you, So,
Yep.
that's the main thing.
We will get it to you. Okay. Well,
Let's do this, Allison. I mean, we've been on here for an hour.
okay.
Pretty close. How about we just cover the other statement? Let's do one each time or something like that.
Because
otherwise
that
we're going to be so long. But
that one's longer than Denny's, not by a lot, but yeah, that would be great. And that way people don't get overwhelmed. And sometimes if you're on for more than an hour, people just, they've got things to do. And so we'll just get off of here, Mark.
And that's great. I want to cut things off. The big thing I want to say for tonight, like I said, we're looking at, the people that we're looking at right now are the people that are in Harry's story, and Denny's one of them. So, I guess in this particular, section, that's what I'm looking for. If you know something about, where Harry was at, harping at everybody, who was on that ball team, where you might have seen Denny Hallrink that night, and maybe he don't remember, but maybe somebody else will, get a hold of me. You can get a hold of me, however you want, on the group, you can get a hold of me. You can, private message me, text message me. I think my phone number's on my Facebook page and everything else.
I want to drop the Facebook page again, Mark, so that way the new ones coming in can go in and request, and one of you guys will accept it as soon as you guys get the chance. It don't take very long.
Right. And what I'll do is unless you can do it, don't matter either way, but each week when we talk about somebody, what I'll do is I'll go in and get the notes, that I've got, like that statement and stuff, and I'll put it up on the page. That way everybody can read it, make comments, ask questions, do whatever they want.
Do you want me to just send you these, the ones I've got?
If you've already got, I'm sure I've already got it scanned somewhere, so I can find it and put it up. But I want to put it up so everybody can comment, everybody can look at them. Invite your friends. If you're from the Albia area or people that were from school from here, invite your friends to the group. Let them know about it, because I think it's just going to take that one person to know the right thing, to start putting pieces of the puzzle together. And the more the pieces of the puzzle come together, the closer we're going to be to having an answer. I think there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that are coming together. Just like saying recently that, somebody told me about the card game and coming from La Villa and being in the, seeing Denny and David Wynn and some other people, up there at the bar that night and in the card, possibly in the card game. That gives me more places to go, more names and more people to message and talk to. So that's the main thing. And like I say, I appreciate it, Allison. It's, I like keeping it short and to the point. And then that way people take the time to watch it, pass it on, let other people know, hey, come in and watch it and see what we had to say and go from there.
And next week we'll have another person's interview up and you guys, I like the fact that you're going to post that on the Facebook page, Mark.
I'll put it right up there. I'm going to start sharing everything. Everything that I got like that, I'm going to start putting it up there so everybody can see it, read it for yourself, see what I've seen for 1996 when I got the case file, so.
Well, we're here. We're all here for you, Mark. And even the ones that are not here right now, there's a lot of support out there. I can just see what's on YouTube, not on Facebook. So, but anyways, again, get a hold of one of us. If you guys want a t-shirt, if you have the money to donate anything you can, perfectly. That's awesome. If not, don't worry about it. We just want to get Harry's name out there. So, I will schedule.
We'll keep telling his story.
Yep. Broken Justice says, I hope Harry comes home soon. Lori says, thank you. So do we. Oh, speaking of, we're talking about this. What do you think of those Chiefs, Mark?
Well, they're still behind my Vikings right now.
I'll tell you right now, one of your friends come in the store and bought a whole bunch of Viking stuff today.
Oh, really?
And
Cool.
anyways, I was showing her Harry's, and I said, yeah, Harry's brother's a huge Viking fan, and Harry was she goes, yeah, a Kansas City Chiefs fan. She goes, every time football season comes around, and especially how close the Vikings and the Chiefs are going,
Yeah.
she says that she thinks of Harry and you
Awesome.
arguing over football if he was here.
Yeah. We did a lot of that.
Yep. Well, you have a good night,
Yep.
Mark. I'm glad that you come up, and thank you guys all for being in the chat. And make sure you go go request to go on to Harry's Facebook page, and one of them will get you guys added, and go through it all. There's a lot of information, and I'm going to post Harry's PayPal again, just in case you guys want to donate to him. And we'll talk to you guys next week then. You let me know the day and time.
Yep, we'll let you know. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Night.
Good night.